I guess it doesn't want to. Can I try something else? No. Well, this is in beta. GitHub Codespaces is in beta, so there could be some bugs. Welcome back to Arcade. I am Super Tommy, and this is actually a special video where we are going to look at GitHub Codespaces. So GitHub Codespaces is still in beta. You can request early access right here. It is planned, I believe, to be out for everybody that has a GitHub account in Q4 of 2020. So that's anytime between October and December. Now we're releasing this video outside our regular video release schedule just because we found Codespaces to be quite exciting, and I got my beta invitation a couple of days ago, and I didn't try it until today, but after I did, it was quite cool. And we created a separate branch in our Phaser 3 parcel template for modern JS that lets you create a project to use in Codespaces by just clicking a single button. So we're going to show you that in this video, go over some of the features that we found with Codespaces, and do the making your first Phaser 3 game in modern JavaScript guide, just to see how it works and how you can use it if you have access already. If you wanted to try Phaser 3, if you already have access to GitHub Codespaces, but you don't want to set up all the project dependencies and figure out your like environment and all that stuff, Codespaces is perfect for that. If for some reason you don't have access to a computer, but you want to start making games in Phaser, Codespaces is great for you too. And in fact, when I've taught some boot camps in the past, getting public computers at a library or wherever to properly install environments would take so much time, and no one would get it right, or it would take a whole day to get it right. So with Codespaces, you can just click a button, launch an entire Visual Studio Code editor in the browser, and start developing. So let's get started so we can show you how this works. So if you go to the Arcade GitHub, that's github.com/arcade, you can find our Phaser 3 parcel template. And in here, we have a new branch, the Codespaces branch. Now, when we merge Codespaces into master, you'll get this .dev container folder in the Phaser 3 parcel template project. We don't have that yet. We will do that when Codespaces is generally available for everybody. And then what you can do is simply click use this template, and then you'll create a project based on this template in your GitHub account. And then you can click this code button. I'm going to do that right here. Now we already created a code space. We can make a new one. So we're going to do new code space. And you'll see GitHub is going to launch a code environment for us. It's going to create the environment based on a Docker file. So we've specified in that .dev container folder what the development box should have. So we've got Node in there. Parcel bundler is installed automatically for you. I think it uses Node 14, and NVM is also installed. So you've got everything that you need to run this project and start developing without actually figuring out what to install or having the right Node version installed or the right NPM version, or whatever the issues are. If you've tried the Phaser 3 parcel template before, perhaps it didn't work because you did not install parcel bundler globally. There are many things that could go wrong when you're trying to start a new project with a set of tools that you don't really understand. And that's particularly challenging for beginners. So this is going to be great for those cases. Now we're going to speed up parts of this video that are taking too long, because this could take quite a while to load up the first time, and then every subsequent time it is much faster. And here it is, it's loaded. You see this is Visual Studio Code in the browser. And we have our source code here. This is just the basic hello world scene from, this is the ESLint, from the Phaser 3 parcel template. So now this is all well and good, right? It looks cool. So now we have this change here. We're using HTTPS. So that when we test it out, and we can test it, I'll show you that the images still load. So let's open up a terminal. Go here, whip up a terminal here, I'll move myself to the corner. Of course, we also installed Z shell. I just prefer Z shell, so I have it installed as part of the Docker file that installs the environment or sets up the environment exactly as it is defined for everybody who uses it. Okay, you do ls here, and you see that we've got these files just like we would normally have. And now we can do npm run start. Now npm install has already been called for us. It's part of the setup in this dev container folder. There is a dev container.json that specifies this post create command, and so we're already calling npm install for you as soon as this code space is created. So now Parcel is building like it normally does if you use this template on your computer, and it'll do it. And then once it's ready, it's going to be available at localhost 8000. Now, of course, you're not on your local computer, so there is no local host, but we are forwarding. Let's see if I can not click. Right, so we are forwarding the port 8000, and that's set up with these Docker files that I talked about previously, and the dev container.json file. So we can just click this, and it's going to load it's going to forward to port 8000 on the virtual box that we have in GitHub server somewhere. And there it is running. So I'm going to copy this. Oops, that's X. That's good. Let's go here. So we're going to just have it on this side. Now I don't think that hot module reloading works, but besides that, it's pretty good. So now we have this working. Just this here. We don't need a terminal this big. Let's move this. Now you can also, well, you can actually collapse this. Collapse, right? So we got more code. So let's just go to some settings. Settings. Let's make the font a little bigger. I don't really know what I normally use. Let's go with that. So files will just automatically save when you make changes. So here, that's good. All right, so now this code looks pretty good. You could change the theme to here, color theme. Let's see. You can use Visual Studio Dark. You can install other themes as well. Let's see. So is it doing something? No. Let's try that again. Visual Studio Dark. I guess it doesn't want to. Can I try something else? No. Well, this is in beta. GitHub Codespaces is in beta, so there could be some bugs. And this is Chrome. And so now they recommend that you use a Chromium-based browser, so Microsoft Edge or Chrome. Some other browsers too, like Brave browser, that are Chromium-based, I believe. So anyway, we'll just leave it at this theme. This looks like the normal editor you've come to love if you use VS Code. So let's just try building this basic phaser game and see how it goes. Now we know first thing that we did was create this project. So now all we did was click a button, and now we have our project created, and it's in our GitHub account. If we wanted to pull that down to our local machine and run it that way, we definitely still could. And let's see here. So this is this. Just check out our main. So I haven't tried. That works too. So the command palette, which is Command P, also works good. So this is great here. And we've got scenes. This is explaining. So this is our game scene. Let's make our game scene. Go over here. Game.js. This looks pretty good. So let's import phaser from phaser. And then export to default class game extend scene. That looks good. Yes, we could do that. We could hold it like that, but I'm just going to do phaser.scene. And then the constructor, and we're going to call this game scene. Great. And now I'm pretty sure you also get full IntelliSense, right? It's great. And let's see, preload create. I'll just put that in here. Preload create. So now the assets part. So this is also quite cool in that you can just drag and drop files in here. This is Chrome, right? Just drag and drop files in here and it'll work. So let's make a folder here, make a public folder. Then in there, we're going to make an assets folder. Now we have these assets. These are downloaded at the URL here. Just take these, just drag them into this assets folder, and it should upload, and there we go. And there they are. You can inspect them. It should load like VS Code does. There's the dude. This is pretty snazzy. At least I think so. But maybe I'm just easily amused. Okay, so let's try some loading here. Let me just copy this for speed, just to see how this goes. Although I guess if I didn't, let's just not copy one, so you can see how this .load.spreadsheet, we can see the IntelliSense working here. Let's see, assets dude.png, and now let's see, frame, we got full IntelliSense here, frame 32, frame height is 48. That's kind of nice. It's just like VS Code, we can collapse this. Now let's do create this.add.image at 400, 300 the sky, then this.add.image at 400, 300 star. Okay, now we probably, let's go to main, we're going to import our game scene here. Game, we don't need this. So everything is working as you would expect, and the performance is quite good. If you can or can't tell, I don't know. But it's almost like you are doing it on your local computer. That's good, that's good. npm run start, we already did that. Now here, so of course HMR is not working, but if we just hit reload, it'll go. At least I don't think there's a way to do hot module reload. And that is missing, so let's see why. Start. And there we go. There's a star. Nice. Okay, great. Now let's go to the next part here. Creating platforms. Okay, let's make some platforms. And delete the star. I'm going to make a create platforms method. And then I'm just going to copy. Make this faster. So you can see how this works in Codespaces. So far it's working pretty well, right? This is all good. Then this dot create platforms. We're going to skip this key thing. This is good to do if you can follow the official guide here, or not the actual blog post with some better coding practices for reusing keys. Let's make a player. So now our Phaser 3 parcel template does include ES6 field properties, class properties in the field area here. So we can do this. And we know and these are JS docs. And so we know our player is going to be a sprite, I believe, right? Create player, physics add sprite. So it's going to be phaser.physics.arcade.sprite. And then create player, let's add a create player here. Create player. Just type some of this out, see how it feels. This.physics.add.sprite 100, 450, dude key. Let's see, is there anything else here? Nope. That's pretty good. This.player.setBounce. Right, look at this IntelliSense is just, it's good. I mean, so I think sometimes, at least I've heard, folks trying this out and not getting IntelliSense in their setup for some reason. It should work perfectly in Codespaces just because the environment is set up specifically. So you do minimize problems. Obviously, with computers, things can always go wrong, bugs. But it should be able to minimize situations where your environment is different than my environment or someone else who you're looking at, someone else's tutorial that you're looking at. Any number of reasons why it wouldn't work. So for example, with the ESLint that we have set up here, it does assume that you have ESLint installed, and you may not have ESLint installed, in which case linting won't happen for you. And so that could be a mismatch that happens between my setup and your setup. That was good. Now you see the files are all auto-saved. I'm not actually pressing Command Save or Control Save. They're being saved automatically. So that's kind of nice. Let's see. Just add that dude key. We're not using dude key. Dude. Okay. Great. Create player. I mean, I'm still pressing Command Save just because it's a habit. Create platforms. This dot create player. Okay. Good. Now let's just see what it looks like. So these are just two Chromes here, right? We've got two Chromes, one where the code's happening and one where we can see the project running, which is sort of snazzy. Look at that. Great. All right, next. Colliders. Now we're doing colliders. Okay, did I return? Okay, let's return some platforms. And then we're going to return the player. Or did I change this? That's what I did, yes. I mean, I guess I didn't need to do this. But the tutorial is trying to teach something in steps. Return, great. Let's say this dot player. And we have platforms, okay, const platforms. Okay. And then let's do colliders. Man, I just think this coding experience is pretty fast. I'm actually kind of surprised. Before making this video, all I really did was test it out, trying to get the Phaser 3 parcel template to work. And after it did, this is the first time I'm actually using it to code, and it is pretty speedy. I'm quite impressed. Okay, so there's that. Keyboard controls. Let's define some cursors here. Cursors. Phaser.input.types. No, phaser.types. .input.keyboard.cursor keys. Now let's see, where did I do that there? But you can actually do this in init. So let's do that in init. This.cursors, this.input.key, inputs.keyboard.create cursor keys. Fantastic. So this is the update. So now you've probably seen, we can actually close this terminal. You've now seen you do a bunch of these simple movements, so we're just going to copy this. It's pretty standard. I don't need to save. Let's see. So we did the colliders for the platforms and the player. Right here, we added cursor keys. We should be able to move our character when this loads. Yep, he lands. You guys, up this jump. Look at this. This is all happening in the browser. I find that to be amazing. I don't know about you. Maybe it's not so amazing to you. All right, next part. So this may be more amazing for us at Arcade, since one of the products we first built was an in-browser game editor with a code editor using Monaco editor, which is, I think it is taken from VS Code or something to that effect. And so, but this performs way better. Well, we probably built it we made some different software architectural decisions, and I think GitHub did a much better job here. All right, so we got stars keys. We're going to ignore these keys. Let's add some stars. Create stars. Create stars. Let's do this one. This one seems like it could be interesting. Let's see how this feels. This.physics.adds, making a group here. Key star. Repeat. We're making 11 stars after the first one. That's what that means. X 12. So let's see. Can I get, yeah, doing, let's see. I guess what, oh, set XY is of object type. Yeah. So we don't get anything special there. But I believe, let's just check this. Yeah. So control space brings up the IntelliSense menu, I think, or the code complete menu. And you can see these are all the things that Phaser has told us about in the typing file for Phaser. Okay, that's stars, stars.children.iterate, so child.setBounce. because child is of type game object, but we know it is actually of type something else. So I'm just gonna, this is not in the guide, but this is a trick I like to do, let's say, so that I can get some types. There may be another way with JS docs to type the parameter in this lambda, but I don't know what it is. So anyway, so I know that this is a phaser.arcade.sprite. So great. So now I can get IntelliSense. So phaser.math.float between, and then it's 0.4 and 0.8. Okay, and then return stars. Yep, I am very, very impressed with this coding experience, actually. Now let's see, we have const stars up here. This dot create stars. We're gonna add another collider here. This dot physics dot add dot collider between stars and platforms. Stars, platforms. I keep pressing save. It's a habit. Okay. Player overlap. This dot physics dot add dot overlap. This dot player stars, and then where we have collect star. This dot collect star. No process callback. Context is this, and we're going to make a collect star method here that gets player and star. That's cool. So now I do like IntelliSense. So player I know is going to be a phaser.physics.arcade.sprite, and same with the star. So this IntelliSense is working just as good as it does on VS Code locally, as far as I can tell. Star.disableBody. True, true. That's good, that's good. Scopes. Yep, this is a cool video. Just forwarding this other video here about JavaScript scopes and context. If you're interested, check out this part. What part is this? Part 4 is linked to a video about JS scopes, or go to the Arcade YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/arcadehq. So let's just see what we got here. It's always been saving. I wonder if HMR could work. I guess theoretically it could work. After that. So this game is working. This is actually snazzy, and it's really performant. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, I suppose. This is a fairly recent MacBook Pro. It's cool. Okay, so create score label. So we have a score label class. Let's make a new file. Let's see how that goes. No. That works. What's it complaining about? Child is missing right. No, there's no way for me to force that. I also just do this when I know I'm right. Okay, let's see. UI. Pretty sure I'm right. Let me make sure I'm not wrong. UI score label.js. Just do some of this from scratch. We've got format score. This is string interpolation that I'm doing, if you're not familiar. That's the syntax with the little ticks. So you can do string and then any variables or anything you want to evaluate in JavaScript, you can put between the $sign and curly bracket. Export default class score label extends phaser.gameObjects.text. This IntelliSense is perfect, just exactly as we are used to locally. I do think the VS Code team has been working quite hard at getting VS Code Online. I think there is a Visual Studio Code Online, and I'm assuming GitHub is, or something that is being shared with GitHub to do Codespaces. Well, that's fantastic. Okay, so now we have this. Let's go back to our game. And the paths here are working as you would expect. Like from here you can see exactly the project structure or the project layout. I guess maybe structure is the right word. Score label. And now we can type this score label. And let's see, create score label. After that, that's the preload. So this.score label new. Oh, this not create score label. Okay, let's just do that. Create score label XY score. And more JS doc here to get some more types. So that's a number. So that's a number. And that's a number. Font style. Let's see. Font size. This would work. Fill 1, 2, 3. Now I'm pretty sure Phaser docs say specifically that this is only supposed to be a string, but I do know that if I pass in 32 as a number, it works fine. Which I have not looked into the code if it actually does check for number and support it, but it does work. And I really prefer not writing the 4 extra characters to do quote size pix, px, and close quote. So I just use a number since it still lets me. Turn label. Okay. This dot create score label. Let's see, what did I give for x and y? 16, 16, 0. Did I use that format score? No, right, I can pass in that into there too. Okay. Coming up, blah, blah, blah. Great, let's see what we got. I don't have to save. That's kind of cool, but I'm not used to that. Like, did I save? Did I save? That's what I'm always sort of concerned about. At least back in the olden days, before software was written to be user friendly. There we go. You would just have apps just wouldn't save, and then it would crash, and you would lose all your work. These days, it doesn't happen as often. All right, next final part here. So far, Codespaces is working fantastically, I must say. Bomb spawner, and we're putting bomb spawner. I'm just going to put it here. Bomb spawner. Yeah, I do this a lot. I think I type faster than software can react sometimes. And I just end up with like these. I don't know what that is when you start typing into VS Code. Default class bomb spawner. This is that. I'm going to just mostly copy this. Let's do this copy. Okay. Source scenes, you can choose different location. I put it into source scenes. Now let's put this into our game. Import. Let's collapse this. Import. Bomb spawner from bomb spawner. Okay, let's see. Bomb spawner. Bomb spawner. So we will probably update our TypeScript template to also support Codespaces as well. I do sometimes prefer writing it in TypeScript as we get I think better syntax, or at least if you're coming from a C# environment or C++ or Java, you may prefer the TypeScript syntax. Let's see here. Create bomb spawner. I mean, I can live with this JS doc typing, but I feel a little bit more at home when I can specify types in the code directly. In old days in Flash, ActionScript had the similar way as TypeScript, where you put the type to the right of a variable after some colons, after a colon. So anyway, okay, here's the bomb spawner. Got that using the bomb spawner. Okay, we're creating a stars believe stars was a group. Phaser.physics.arcade.group. See if I'm right. Create stars. See if this works. Yep, jump to definition works. It is a group that returns stars. Well, here's the question: does this work? That works too. Just go back works. So that's nice. Which is Control minus or plus. Maybe different on Windows, but it lets you go so like backwards and forwards. No, not going forward, but I think it's backwards. No, maybe it's Control Shift plus. I don't remember, but I use Control minus quite a bit to go back after I do a jump to definition, which is Command click, and then you want to go back to where you were. Okay, create stars, bombs group. This bomb spawner dot group. Bombs group. Const. This dot bomb spawner dot group. Okay, this dot stars. So some of you, when you're in your own project, you've cloned the Phaser 3 template, Phaser 3 parcel template. I'm not even sure you guys always get these red squigglies. This is both ESLint and I think this VS Code if you have the JSON config set up. But if you didn't, for example, for whatever reason, you may not even get these errors. Like it tells you there's something wrong here through static analysis that we don't know what stars is. And so that, of course, helps you code a bit faster since the compiler is telling you ahead of time before your game runs that there's something wrong. Okay, this dot overlap, this dot stars, that. Okay, what am I missing here? Bombs group over here. This dot physics dot add dot collider bombs group and platforms. So obviously when this is the case, right, everyone has the same environment. We can all, when you're trying to learn it at least, or get comfortable with a new platform technology, programming language, framework, wherever it might be, having the same environment as the person who you're learning it from or explaining things to you is very helpful. So you all see the same stuff. So these bombs, so is there another part where the bombs don't just come? Collect star, and if this is true, spawn bomb. Right, okay, let's do that. Collect star. This dot score label dot add. There's an add, oh, I did. That's why you copy and paste, you don't know what you did. There must have been an add method added to the score label class. Let's collect some. Oh, there's some bombs. Oh yeah, I think I made this so that it would drop a bomb every time you collected a star. Because, I think, can I die? No. Okay, so that's all working. Wrapping up with game over. Game scene, game over false. So let's go up here. Game over false. I'm about to wrap this up, and so far this has been pretty good. I mean, I can't say I'm going to use this for all of my development. That probably doesn't make sense. But I can see this being very pleasant to use. And for even things I want just to try and not necessarily have to create a project on my computer and just basically clog up the computer. I've got a lot of stuff there. Just do it here, set up the environment. That would be nice. I can definitely see uses for that. For like all the GitHub projects there, all these great open source projects that I star a lot of them. Then I forget they exist. And because I need to go back and pick a time to actually use it. It may be less friction if I'm just able to click the code button, create a code space, and just test out that repository instantly or any example repository. So now Phaser has a bunch of Phaser example repositories. You can just click the code button and then start playing around with it, which is quite good. Sometimes, I don't know if you've used the Phaser examples website, it doesn't always work as well. Sometimes I notice the examples, the code doesn't load from GitHub for some reason. This just works, and you get IntelliSense, which you don't get in the Phaser example site, the sandbox, or whatever it was called. If you just go to the Phaser.io website, click the examples at the top, you can go and see all of them. And it's very useful, but this is perhaps more useful in that you get the full development environment. Okay, hit bomb. Okay, what am I calling hit bomb? I think I was talking instead of paying attention to what I was doing. Child does not exist on type. That's fine. Hit. Oh, I have to add. Yes. This dot hit bomb. No, this. Now let's see if we can just fix this error. Because child is a game object, it was the same problem as before where I did this. And this should resolve that. C child. I'm not actually sure this is the best way to do it. If you guys actually have a better way or know how to type the parameter of a lambda inside a method, a iterator for each, a map or whatever, do let me know in the comments below. All right, so now we have that. Now, hit a bomb, I should die. Let's refresh this. One day, I'm sure GitHub's working on this to speed up the reloading of the port forwarded localhost that we're serving from our project. And there we go. Now he dies, he gets hit by the bomb. All right, so that is the entire Making Your First Phaser 3 game in modern JavaScript in GitHub Codespaces. So I thought the experience was quite nice. It was a good developer experience. Delete this. It's very smooth. The one thing that didn't work was the themes. For some reason, I couldn't change my theme. Although I had done it before, so I do know that it works. Something must have happened while I was setting this up. Now you can also commit changes right from here. There is here this visual git tool, I guess. You can just stage your changes by pressing this plus button here, and then give it a commit message, commit it. You can push, pull, fetch, all the things that you can do in Git in the command line. You can always bring up the terminal. Let's see. I actually never know how to bring up the terminal after I've closed it. Is it down here somewhere? What's this? No, that's feedback. But anyway, so you can always create a new terminal. Come back to npm, so it's running. You can do anything you would normally do in a terminal right here from the terminal in VS Code in Codespaces. So that's really cool. Files always autosave. You can do port forwarding to get it to load up in a separate browser and see what you're doing, see your game running while from the project you're building in Codespaces. So I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do have Codespaces, access to Codespaces, give this a try. Go to the GitHub, go to the Arcade GitHub page and find the Phaser 3 parcel template. Or you can go to blog.arcade.co and find the Making Your First Phaser 3 game in modern JavaScript. I will link these in the description below. And now we're probably going to bring you even more Codespaces content as we work on it. We think this is a great tool, and as Q4 comes of 2020 and GitHub releases this to everybody, we think it's going to be fantastic. And you can write your code in the project. You can use GitHub Actions to deploy to GitHub Pages and get the game you're working on deployed to the web and share with everybody pretty much instantly. So we love that. So thanks for watching. Be sure to hit like if you like this video and subscribe for more videos on making games for the open web with JavaScript and Phaser 3.